Good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel. Have a important video today. There's going to be a lot of different angles. I'm just going to warn you here in advance. I'm going to try to show you the best angles I can here. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about shooting off the rail today with the cue ball frozen on the rail. Okay. I'm going to go over some drills that will improve your cue ball control, hitting center of the ball, things like that, not putting any unnecessary spin on the ball. That is one of the issues, not miscuing, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about, and you're not going to see me much, you're going to see my bridge and me hitting the ball and things like that here. But what I want to talk about is different bridges, okay? And ways to hold the cue and things like that. The first thing I want to talk about is bridges, okay? A couple different ones. I have a favorite, you'll have a favorite. It's going to be repetition, what you get used to, what you feel comfortable with, and it may change shot to shot. But again, it's going to be self-preference, okay? So the first one I'm going to show you is the one that I prefer. And if you notice, I have 2 to 3 fingers on the table. I have a V, and my cue is riding right next to the rail. Now, the one thing we want to remember hitting off the rail is we want to elevate, and I hope you can see this, elevate the cue ever so slightly. So when we make contact, we're actually a slight downstroke on the cue ball. Because what happens if we don't? Okay, we can come through and miss cue. Okay, you see that a lot because as you saw, the cue tip went up. Okay, so let's make sure that we get a bridge. Now you can tuck one finger back, still making the V. That gives you more stabilization. Again, remember, you don't see a lot of the cue ball because of the rail. So you want to make sure that you hit center. If we put any unnecessary spin on that, we're probably going to miss our shot. Okay? So again, let's make sure here, elevate ever so slightly, follow through a slight downward angle into the cue ball. Now, one thing that I do want to mention, and I'm going to move down here so we can see it, is if I have a regular bridge on the cue ball, I am approximately this far away. Okay, I'm going to use another ball for an example. Okay, I'm approximately this far away. Okay, so I'm going to make contact with the ball and I'm going to hold it. Now, if I move back to here, I can't even reach the rail. Okay, so what do we need to do? We actually need to shorten up. So when I use that same bridge, I prefer 2 fingers with one tucked underneath with the V. So when we do this, if I keep the cue in the same position on my backhand, it's going to be very awkward because it's going to be way back on the cue. The control is going to be very, very minimal. So what we need to do, here's my normal distance. So as I move forward with my front hand, I need to move forward with my backhand. So I have to shorten up for control. Okay? So when I do this, again, I shorten up my front hand, shorten up my backhand. Now again, you saw my miscue earlier. A lot of that is because we have a tight backhand. Okay? Maybe we want to hit it with some speed, something like that. We have to remember, we don't want to come up. You want to hit down, not down on the cue ball, but a slight downward angle. We don't want to put unnecessary spin on the ball. Okay? So that's some of the things that I notice with some players. Now I'm going to give you a couple drills that we can practice. And again, I'm going to be moving the camera around a little bit. Okay? The first one I want to use, I'm going to move this into place. Make sure we get a good angle. I like to use the striped balls, and there's a reason for that. we can be assured, what I do is line those stripes up with the pocket. So my first three are going to go into this pocket, and you're going to be able to see the rotation. Okay, if I put some, I'll go ahead and shoot one. Okay, again, line it up, slight elevation, through the ball. Now, you should have seen that perfect spin on the ball, where the stripe was relatively perfect. Now, of course, if I put some unneeded spin on the ball, I'm going to just throw a little right on there. See how that one, we put unnecessary spin. Now, why that is important is because if I put that spin on the cue ball and then it hits the object ball, we're going to have a reaction. Okay? So again, line your shot up wherever you're comfortable. See your spot, slight elevation, down through the ball. Okay? So I'm going to move it again. I'm going to come to the corner pocket on my next 4 balls. Hopefully you'll be able to see the spin again. Coming into the corner pocket. Always make sure you chalk up. That is important. Actually, your Q-tip is important too. If we're using a bar cue, where the tip is just a, not a real strong tip, we're going to have some issues. So again, hitting from the rail, slight elevation, down through. You see my perfect spin on the ball. That's what we're looking for, okay? And this is just a drill that you can do to see that you're making perfect contact on the ball, okay? Now we can go to a long rail as well, just before we shoot shots, just to make sure that we're getting contact on the ball. So I'm going to do so of course, the longer shots, again, same setup, elevate the cue ever so slightly, down through. Make sure you get your setup. Slight downward. Again, this is just making sure your stroke is pure off the rail. Notice my follow through is slightly downward. That's what we want. Again, you remember, if we come up, that's when we miscue. You see that in a lot of amateurs or average players. Be aware, slight raise. Slight raise. And make sure you follow through. Okay, the next thing we can do to go to the next step on this, and again, I like to use the stripes because it will help me to see if I'm putting any unneeded spin on the ball. You can use any ball that you want, but just when you're starting out, just to see. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll shoot a couple balls off the rail. I'm going to line that stripe up, put my cue ball straight behind it on the rail. Now, I should be able to tell if I'm putting some left or right spin on there just by how that reacts. Now again, straight on the cue ball, slight elevation, follow straight through. And you saw the perfect spin on that, okay? Again, on the rail, straight in, slight elevation, down and through. Make sure you chalk up, that's very important. You can bring it a little further away if you like. You can change the distance. This is just about perfecting slight elevation, straight down and through. Okay? And then, of course, we can shoot at the corner pocket. Again, line your stripe up so we know if we're putting any unnecessary English on it. Again, you can see my bridge changes every single time. It's just where I'm comfortable, and that's what you're going to figure out. It just comes natural. I don't change it on purpose. It's just where my hand lays on the table. Okay? The different angles, slight elevation, down and through. Okay? Now we can do that from long range. We can put the cue ball on the rail. We can put a stripe straight in. Again, slight elevation, down through. Okay? So, keep a few things in mind. Make sure that we're always chalking up. That's number one. Make sure we're not putting any unnecessary spin on the cue ball unless you mean to, and we'll get to that in a future video. Make sure that we are raising the butt of our cue ever so slightly when we're on the rail. Also, your bridge. This is my normal distance for a bridge. Make sure if I shorten up my front hand, I shorten up my back hand for control. Okay? Make sure that we follow through at a slight downward angle. We're not trying to come down on the ball. Okay? We just want a slight downward angle where it's going to end up, the Q-tip is probably going to end up just slightly below the rail. Okay? I hope this was beneficial. I hope you practice the drills. And again, this is another one you just need to shoot and shoot and shoot. You can change this drill any way you want. Shoot at any pocket. Just shoot balls. You know my theory. You got to pocket balls to get better. I appreciate the support. Now, one thing I want to talk about is I did put out a video yesterday on the virus, the coronavirus going around right now. I'm not sure why. I did get a thumbs down on that. This is real, people. I just want everyone to be aware of it, things we can do to avoid getting sick and things like that. So I'm not sure why that was. So there was no comment left and things like that. But again, I'm welcome to any comment, positive or negative. But if you do leave me a thumbs down, give me an explanation. I would appreciate that. But for all you others, thanks for being so positive, giving me a lot of thumbs up, a lot of support for the channel. I appreciate it. I hope this drill is beneficial to you, and have a good one.